go outside.
Hi, everybody. This is APBA Brian and APBA Baseball Classics, bringing to you the Wildcard Weekend picks to post. And I'm joined together with Dan Mattingly and Lori. Yesterday, we had Black Monday in the NFL. Cliff Kingsbury was fired. Lovie Smith was fired. So 2 more jobs added to Denver, Carolinas, and Indianapolis. Kingsbury, I can understand.
Oh yeah, he was. It was time. He'd lost the team.
Going to get paid till 2027, so he's not going to be hurting. And you just have to have a better than 10 and 21-1 home record during your tenure if you want to keep your job.
He was okay on the road, but man, he could not win in their building, even when they were good.
Yeah. Bill Belichick said for sure he'll be back. He's 31 wins short of the all-time record, so he's going to be coaching up a storm and trying to get there. So he's not ready to leave yet. We got Bruins fan here with us. Very good. And also, should mention Bruins fan won last week. Most of us won last week. I was 11-5. Dan was 9-7. Our special guest sportsman Z was 11-5. Lori was 11-5. And then every week we get picks from Justin, my son. He was 11-5. Bruins fan was 11-5. Congratulations. And Matt was 9-7. We only differ with Rob's channel on one game, and that was me having a brain fart and sending Chicago over there.
No.
I don't think that was a brain fart. I think that was you were being kind to our guest.
Requested, yes.
He's
very kind.
We found out the next day that Justin Fields was not going to be playing with his hip pointer, and also found out that Chicago was definitely going for that number 1 pick.
They got it.
They got it.
Yep.
I'm not sure about teams that tank and basically throw games for any reason. Houston, on the other hand, they played hard and won their game, played themselves. Lovie Smith played themselves out of the number 1 pick. So for the end of the season, see, Dan, you're at 59%, which is 1% below last year. But through the playoffs, you could catch up. I'm at 61%, which is 2% below what I was last year. I'm older. Lori, 65%.
Oh.
But what is Bruins fan at?
69.
Bruins fan, you're the best.
Justin's at 69%.
Justin's at 69% too?
Yeah, he gets to turn them in very last minute, so that's kind of a big advantage over.
It's kind of an unfair advantage, yeah.
But even last year, when he was picking with us on Tuesday, he was 65% last year.
Yeah.
So we're kind of missing Justin. All right, let's jump into the picks. Our first one is Seattle at San Francisco.
Man, very true, Bruins fan. Very true. Well, can't overthink this one. Seattle kind of squeaked their way into the playoffs. They got their win that they needed. Geno Smith, still a little shaky at times. He's missing some throws. They're clearly a little banged up in the running game with Walker. The defense has a few bright spots, but overall not a very impressive unit. And they're going up against a buzzsaw. The 49ers are stacked all over their defense. They can play at all three levels. They can stop the run. They're great in the pass game, in my opinion. Bosa leading the league in every rushing category, I believe, at this moment. It's going to be so hard for Seattle to stop them on offense and defense. I really do think that the 49ers will win easily.
Fake toss, 2 fake tosses, and then to Kittle over the middle. Touchdown, San Francisco.
Kittle in the middle.
Kittle over the middle.
When I was in California, my varsity football coach used to always say he did not believe he could win a state championship with a sophomore quarterback. He actually almost did. He won one with a junior. But the thing with Purdy, he's kind of like a freshman quarterback. Can you win the whole thing with an inexperienced quarterback? I mean, so far, Purdy has been playing like they can win with him. And Geno Smith, as you mentioned, he has tailed off lately. He has thrown 10 interceptions in the last 8 games. He's had a good year, but he has definitely kind of come back to the pack a little bit. Now, all these playoff teams we're going to be talking about today, they have already played each other. Yeah, Seattle's fallen to San Francisco twice. They lost 7-27 back in week 2, and they lost 13-21 in week 15. Seattle's 9th in points scored and 25th in points allowed, and they've got probably the best young running back in the league this year in Kenneth Walker. He's amazing. Last week, he did not show any signs of fatigue. You know, it is a big adjustment for rookie running backs coming from a 12 or 13 game schedule to the NFL schedule, which added a game this year. But he looked as fresh as a daisy last week. Both Metcalf, Lockett have 1,000-yard seasons. But Seattle has lost 3 of their last 5, so they're kind of lipping into the playoffs. And that's one thing I want to say. Actually backed into the playoffs. Detroit beating Green Bay is what got them in this game. I think I'd rather see Detroit in the playoffs.
Yes. Oh, definitely. That would have been fun against anybody.
Oh, my goodness. I love watching Detroit play this year. I just hope they can hang on to their OC. His name is already being bandied about for one of these 5 jobs that's open. Purdy, San Francisco's quarterback Purdy is 67%, 16 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions, and 2,400 yards in a little more than half a season, 10 games. He's got protection. Trent Williams, I think, is the best left guard in football. San Francisco is just a juggernaut. One thing I noticed today, I looked up all of San Francisco's games, and every team who played San Francisco lost the next week. And that tells you one thing: San Francisco is a very physical team. They beat people up. The only team that didn't lose after playing San Francisco is the Chiefs. They had a bye. They had a bye to rest out. And they had a tough game the next week. They only won by 3. So San Francisco, they leave their mark. And I think overall they're just too physical for Seattle. And Nick Bosa, 18.5 sacks, 19 tackles for loss, and 48 quarterback hits. Imagine that. If you're Geno Smith going into this game thinking, man, there's a good chance I'm going to get hit at least 3 times by Nick Bosa. A good chance of that.
And it's going to happen. I mean, it's statistically speaking, it's just
some things to think about. Some things to think about at bedtime. All right, I'm picking San Francisco, so we are all in agreement. As I think, Lori.
Yeah, 49ers. Bruins fan is also 49ers. Al Red Sox. Are you going for 49ers as well?
Yeah, Al Red Sox fan. We always invite people who join us to give us their picks so if you want to put in the comments who you think will win, we'd be glad to have that. All right, next game up is, he says Purdy is due to have a poor game. I don't know if we can bank on that with Seattle, but it is giving me thoughts about them making it all the way to the Super Bowl with Purdy. But we'll know more after this week.
Good comment.
All right. Next up, Chargers at Jacksonville.
Well, Jacksonville's home. They're on a tear. The Chargers, they've put together a couple wins here. They looked a lot more competent. Man, it looked like Staley was starting to make sound coaching decisions until last week. And last week was bad. They didn't need that game. They were locked into their seed. They weren't moving anywhere. And he kept all his starters in way too long, well into the fourth quarter. He had guys that are essential to a playoff run for him. I didn't understand it. Mike Williams had to leave the game on a cart. I mean, with a back injury, that's not going to be good. Williams doesn't come back from injuries quickly. They're probably not going to have him for this playoff run. Lost a couple other guys too. I didn't understand it. The world didn't understand it. And Brandon Staley is a tough coach to trust in a big situation. I mean, I love Austin Eckler. I love Justin Herbert. Keenan Allen's one of the better receivers in the league, and they're solid on defense. But so is Jacksonville. Jacksonville's got guys. They can put things up. These are similar teams. My gut says the Chargers, but give me the Jags.
Oh, man, I thought you were going to go with Chargers the way you're talking there.
Slater, another block. Here he goes. Whoa, caught. Touchdown. Carter. What a grab. On the last 5 weeks.
Sure has. On the fake here. Pressure coming. Rolls away. Steps in. Has a man. Jones is open. He's got it. Inside the 10. Diving for the end zone. Touchdown.
Well, this could be an entertaining Saturday evening game just for the two quarterbacks that are playing, the two young quarterbacks, Hebert and Trevor Lawrence. I forgot to mention that San Francisco's favored by 10 in that first game, and it's at 4:30 on Fox. This game has got the Chargers favored by 2.5, and it's the Saturday night game at 8:15 Eastern time. I agree with you on Staley. He just craps out on key decisions. Mike Williams has got a back contusion. He is questionable. Is that a back bruise, a back contusion?
Yeah, a bad bruise. Yep.
It seems like he could play with that, but we will see. Bosa is on the injury list with an undisclosed injury. They're not even saying what his injury is. So he's questionable too. He might have lost both Williams and Bosa last week. And even if he has Bosa, it's kind of Bosa's training camp anyway. I mean, he was out since week 2, missed the whole season basically. So even though the Chargers the last few weeks have played better with all their stars back, Williams and Allen, that could be a big loss. Now, again, the Chargers has played Jacksonville, and they got creamed back in week 3. Jacksonville beat them 38-10. And back then we were all singing the praises of Jacksonville, and then they fell off the cliff for about 5 weeks. But Peterson, he steady as she goes. He told Trevor Lawrence he had a feeling that the team was going to be playing a meaningful game in Week 18. And sure enough, they were. They beating the Titans for the AFC South title. By the way, I want to say hi to King Tuan Gaming, who has joined us. And check out his channel. King Tuan put up a OOP game with the Boston Braves today on his channel. I watched that. That's why I'm wearing my Boston Braves cap. He had them playing the 86 or 7 Tigers. And also check out Al Red Sox fans channel. Recently he put up a home run derby with History Maker Baseball. Very interesting. Well, back to the picks. Chargers are playing their best ball right now. Jacksonville's playing their best ball. Jacksonville came out of nowhere. They were like at the bottom of the league last 2 seasons. The fact they've not made the playoffs, they've had 14 consecutive losing seasons until now. Trevor Lawrence is 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 66%, 7 yards per attempt. This is all. You got 2 quarterbacks in this game. And then we also have ETN for Jacksonville against Eckler.
Yeah,
2 very similar. Yeah, 2 similar backs. Eckler, I don't think he had 1,000 yards, but you put them together, yeah, very impressive season. He catches the ball a little bit more than ETN. ETN did have 1,000-yard rushing season and 316 catching. Keep your eye on Josh Allen. He didn't get any sacks last week, but he did have a big effect on that game.
He had a sack fumble.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, he did have a sack fumble. Where Doug Peterson over Urban Meyer. That's just been a huge upgrade for Jacksonville. And Dan, I'm with you. This is a very close game, but I think Jacksonville is going to take this. Lori, what you're thinking?
I think it's going to be close, and I'm going to go with the Chargers. Just
that
because.
is the kiss of death for us, Brian.
No, it might be the kiss of death for me.
65%, 60% the other way. Maybe.
Oh, stop.
I'm just revolting against Staley, who played as starters in a meaningless game. Now, I'm not totally against that, but I would not do that. Yeah, let's see. Well, did Bruin fan post his pick yet?
Bruin fan said Jags.
All right, we're all together on the Jaguars. All right, we're ready for the next game. That is Miami Dolphins, led by who knows, and the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, man, 7 or 8 weeks ago, this would have been a really exciting game. But this week, it's not going to be. The Dolphins would be wildly negligent if they allowed Tua to play this. Tyreek Hill's banged up. He'll play, but, once you get nicked up as a smaller receiver, it's very difficult to be as productive. They've got Waddle, of course. Mostert's he's been very good for them, really, compared to what they had been getting from running backs earlier in the season. But the Bills are probably one of the better coach teams in the league. They've got an offense that just is pretty unstoppable between Diggs and Allen's ability to throw and pass. The defense plays above really their talent level every week. And I really don't think the Bills will have much trouble with this kind of ailing Dolphins team. Few coaching decisions down to the end there for the Dolphins, and they are just on a tailspin to go out of the playoffs in the first round.
And I know this is your time. You'd like to keep us updated.
Yeah, we'll keep everybody posted on Pittsburgh and Cleveland, Miami, and the Jets. We're underway as New England decided to defer after winning the toss. And here's Hines on the run back, breaking a tackle and taking it past midfield. And down the sideline he goes. This is storybook. An opening kickoff return for Damar Hamlin. And this place is absolutely going wild. The game throughout. Again, Cincinnati could move up to the 2. And Buffalo could fall back to the 3 if the Bills lose here. Cincinnati goes on to a win, which you might expect. Baltimore shorthanded. Here comes Hines again. Oh, my goodness. Can he do it twice? Is this for real? Can you believe it? Even a little Dion strut to the end zone.
That was cool, wasn't it?
Oh, man. When they ran back the opening kickoff, Josh Allen almost had to go on high, and I thought he was going to break out in tears.
Yeah.
And he walked up and down the sideline saying, God is real. Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's something else for Miami to plan for. Naheem Ryan's. Not very many people have been running back kickoffs. And here we get 2 in one game. One was, I think, 94 yards. One was over 100 yards, I think. something to plan for. Now, Miami, when they went up there in the snow a few weeks ago, they put up quite a fight. I was impressed. But they had Tua.
Yes.
And I don't think they're going to have Tua. I mean, he wants to play. He's been going to probably every doctor in Miami trying to get a release. And I don't think they want to sign that piece of paper.
No, that's your license right there.
Oh, man. And Bridgewater, he's got a broken finger on his throwing hand.
And Skyler is not a good quarterback. He is not ready to play in a game like this.
I think he's got possibilities, but he's not ready. And definitely not ready for the playoffs.
He looks like he's on fast forward out there.
Tyreek Hill is already talking trash. He's saying that, everybody up there in Buffalo better stretch out their hamstrings. He has beat the Bills twice in the playoffs, but he was with the Chiefs, and he doesn't have the Chiefs with him now. I think Tyreek Hill is really kind of whistling through the graveyard here. I don't see Miami having any chance in this game. And I think they're going to go up there knowing that they're a team with a huge challenge up ahead. The team has not been their best since midseason either.
No.
So I'm picking Buffalo. It could be an even emotional win if somehow DeMar Hamlin is released from the hospital and he shows up at the stadium, which is a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like Willis Reed coming down the aisles, in the '69 playoffs for the New York Knicks. It'd be a Willis Reed moment.
It's the first two shots. That'd be awesome.
Oh, the other thing about Hill and Waddle, they haven't been Hill and Waddle the last 2 weeks. Both weeks, both of them are under 50 yards catching, or about 50 yards. So Al says, I'll guarantee this the Patriots will not lose this week or the rest of the season. The Patriots are safe. You can sleep easy. Sure. Buffalo has found another running back in James Cook. He is averaging 5.7 yards a carry to complement Singletary. Singletary has more yards in the season, but Cook's been getting a lot of work lately. Diggs, 1,400-yard season, 108 catches. Another outstanding year for him. And Rousseau and Milano will lead their defense. I think Buffalo will win this game. Lori, who do you got?
Well, Bruins fan thinks Buffalo, and I wish Miami would pull this one off, but I think Buffalo's going to do it. And I think that DeMar Hamlin is giving them a lot of energy. So we'll see how far the energy goes.
All right, this next game is not so easy to pick. It's going to be the New York Giants at the Minnesota Vikings.
This is a tough one in that you have a team that is uber talented, stacked at a lot of positions, offense and defense, has a great record, but man, they are just so inconsistent. The Vikings, they have trouble all over. They can't put together complete games. Justin Jefferson, when he's there, he's the best receiver in football, but they've shown that they can take him away if you have elite players on the defensive end. Jair Alexander really shut him down. The Giants don't really have anybody that can quite do that, but they're gonna game plan around Jefferson. Dalvin Cook can be one of the better backs in football, but he had a really down year this year for him. Barkley really picked it up for the Giants this year. Daniel Jones, even though he has probably not one receiver on the team that you could walk down the street and find a person that knows a Giants wide receiver. It's really actually terrifying. But the Giants are well coached. They play sometimes above their level. They're a bear to play because Jones is so unpredictable with his ability to run and pass. He's like a fledgling Josh Allen out there sometimes, the way he's able to do that. And the Giants' defense is solid, especially when Thibodeau is playing well. Great rookie campaign from him. I want to pick the Giants, but I'm going to take the Vikings.
Okay.
They're at home. They're in a dome. They play great in a dome. They just do.
But possess the football so you have a chance to double up.
Safety blitz coming. Jones launches, and it's grabbed by Hodgins.
Last 2 weeks, the Giants have made an effort to find and acquaint themselves with their wide receiver. Hodgins is one of them. I think Gage is another.
Yes.
But they're not where you would like them to be for the playoffs. And I'm not sure that New York has the weapons. Minnesota, it's been a strange year. Kevin O'Connell brought a new offense. They switched to a 3-4 defense, which is kind of rare in the NFL these days. Things kind of run in cycles, so I'm curious to see if more teams put in the 3-4 next year, particularly in the AFC. I don't know about a 3-4 in the NFC. That's
it's a lot of running.
Minnesota has a better record against playoff teams. This year, they're 3-2 against playoff teams, whereas New York has been kind of beating up on weaker teams. They are 2-6.
Oh, wow.
And that's what against playoff teams. And that's what kind of scares me for the playoffs. The Giants are a smart team. They're a physical team, but they lost to Minnesota already up in the dome, 27-24 recently. That's week 16. See, Bruins fan likes the Vikings. But somehow I'm going back to remember when we played them. Was it last year we played the Giants?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're going to play them again next year. We drew that division.
Yeah.
We're going to finish next year. The Chiefs are going to finish the season with Philadelphia, week 17.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, that's going to be something.
It'll be a tough one.
But generally, next year's schedule is easier than it was this year. When we played the Giants last year, they were tough.
Yeah,
they gave us a physical, tough game, and Dable's a much smarter coach than they had last year. I'm going to go out on a limb and pick the Giants.
There it is.
It's always hard. I think once you beat a team in a close game, it's always harder to come back and get them again the next time. Yeah. Learn that lesson again as athletic director. We beat a team one time, second game of the season, like 51-12, and we had, they fumbled the ball in their end zone. They fumbled the ball in front of their end zone. We had a lot of gifts. We only had 2 long drives in that game. And then we ended up playing them in the state championship game at the end of the year. And all the reporters came and asked Harry Morgan, our coach, you're going to be playing this team. You beat them. It's going to be a laughter. Ha, ha, ha. Harry said, no. Getting our kids to believe that they could beat us. And then we noticed that their offensive line was all new. But by the end of the year, they weren't new. And we actually lost that game 21-7.
Wow.
And we played. So that's why I find out it is tougher to beat a team that you've already beat before. So, yeah, I'm picking New York. Lori, who do you got?
I am going to go out on a limb and go for New York too, because I feel like they really want it. And, but I don't know.
Well, I don't like Minnesota's defense. I like the linebackers. We talked about that last week. They got good linebackers. They got 5 good linebackers, actually. But their front line and their secondary, there's some holes there. And the Bruce fan has Minnesota. So we're all split on that one. The next game is Ravens at Cincinnati.
Well, I'm glad they didn't have to flip a coin on this one. One of the better celebrations of the year, if you haven't seen it. Joe Mixon had a coin in his glove and went and flipped it and kicked it out of the air.
I should have said that highlight. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it was a great one. So, I'm sure he'll get fined for that, which, I wish he didn't. That was great. But the Bengals are maybe the hottest team in the league right now. They are playing phenomenal ball. Higgins is having easily his best season with Joe Burrow. Mixon's firing on all cylinders. They're blocking well. The offense is just humming for them right now. Whereas the Baltimore Ravens offense is not. They say Lamar's going to come back for this game. They average 24 points a game with Lamar. They average 12 without him. I just don't see him, after missing a few weeks and not being in practice, being able to raise the level of this Ravens team to beat a Joe Burrow-led Cincinnati team who's got teeth on both sides of the ball.
Cincinnati is a 6-point favorite, and it's supposed to be 40 degrees and 34% chance of rain or snow in the morning. I don't think that'll bother these teams. As all the other teams they've played before, Baltimore beat Cincinnati in week 5, 19-17. And then the last week of the season, last week they lost 17-16. So it's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be the black and blue division kind of a game that we talked about with Pittsburgh, although they're not in the same division. I think it'll be a physical game. Cincinnati's coming into the game with no La'el Collins, the right tackle, who's out for the season as of a week or two ago. But they're also possibly missing their guard, Alex Kappa. And that's 2/5 of the line that has been protecting Joe Burrow pretty well till the end of last week. With those two guys out, that's going to be something to watch for. Burrow has been sacked 41 times this year. And the other thing, too, without all their offensive line, they couldn't move the ball against the Ravens last week. They had only one drive where they had 2 first downs. And the rest of them were one first down or less. So it's going to be low scoring. Now the odyssey that's going on with Lamar Jackson, who knows? I think Harbaugh said he would have something for the injury report on Wednesday. He's fighting a knee, and I would say, he's been out for more than a month.
Yeah, it's 5 weeks.
Yeah, it's been 5 weeks with this PCL sprain. Originally, when he heard it, they were thinking 1 to 3 weeks. So now the talk is kind of like, does Lamar really want to play? His contract comes up. Maybe when he's not at his best, maybe he doesn't want to be out there. We'll see if he's in practice Wednesday and Thursday. That's not going to help us making a pick now. But I'm going to guess he might not be there. And Tyler Huntley's injured. So last week they went with Anthony Brown, who was out of used to play Boston College and Oregon. And Anthony Brown did not work out too well. 45%, 2 interceptions, 6 yards per pass attempt. So that's another one that's not ready for the playoffs. Was Marcus Peters back last week?
I didn't see him out there.
Yeah, I don't think I saw him out there either, and Calais Campbell was not out there.
No, both of them.
Well, they may be there. They may be there next week, but Baltimore is hurting as well. So I think this is going to be a close game. But I just can't pull the trigger on Baltimore. I'm picking Cincinnati. Lori?
I really, really want to pick Baltimore. And
we're going to root like heck.
I want them to win so bad. So I think I'm just going to do that. And, it's the end of the season, and we're just going to go for it.
You're picking Baltimore?
I am.
Gotcha. And Bruins
I'm going
fan,
to go out with a bang. It might be a really bad bang, but I'm going to go out.
hi, Ken. Always like saying hello to you, Ken from Connecticut.
Hey,
And,
Ken.
yeah, Lori knows Ken too. Did Bruin fan give us his pick yet?
Bruins fan. Pick Bengals.
Bengals. All right, that brings us to the Monday Night Football game. That's Dak Prescott, Dallas Cowboys, and Tom Brady, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, I'm sure Dallas would like to have that one back. Kind of got embarrassed by the Commanders. Really bad game from Dak. They look banged up in the running game. Pollard doesn't look like himself. Dangerous on the outside with CD, always. And Brady's Bucks are doing enough to stay in it. I mean, these 8 and 9 playoff division leaders are real powerhouses typically. And you know, the Bucks have played better week by week, but I really do think that the Cowboys are going to be able to generate the pressure that it takes to beat Brady. The formula to beat Tom Brady is to rush 4. If you can get to Tom Brady with 4 rushers and drop everybody else in coverage, he has a bad time. That's how the Giants beat him. Dallas is built to do it, and they have very, very good defense at forcing turnovers. They've proven it the past 2 seasons. We kind of expected them to go back to the norm with all the turnovers, but it hasn't happened. I expect Dallas to bounce back this week. I just can't see this Tampa team making it past round 1, even with a fairly formidable defense. And, you know, if Mike Evans gets hot, I might eat some crow on this one. We'll see. I got the Cowboys.
He takes that all the way untouched.
4-man rush. Prescott. That one might be a pick 6. It will be. Touchdown, Washington. You believe that?
Trouble in Dallas.
Maybe Cooper Rush. Let's get Cooper in there.
There's been no talk of that, but holy cow, Prescott's led the league in interceptions. You know, we've been talking about this for about 3 weeks now. He's got to stop throwing these picks. You know, it's a fine line about being aggressive. When he took over their offense, he got them from about 23, took them up to number 2 for a while. And but along the process, you can't go to the playoffs and throw a pick 6, or he's had, I think, 10 interceptions the last 8 games.
Yeah,
he's had 3 pick 6s in the last 4, I think. So they got to fix that like right now. And Micah Parsons has fallen off. He's had 1 sack in his last 6 games. You know, his first 10 games were great, but and you notice I've not been able to talk about I can't even remember his name, Dorrance Armstrong from KU. I used to love to talk about him every week because he was from KU, and he was doing something every week because that freed him up to do something when Parsons was in there sacking a quarterback. I think Tampa's going to come in there with playoff Lenny Fournette, run Fournette at Parsons, and hold down that Dallas pass rush with a bit of a running game. Tom Brady throws the ball an average of 43 times a game. You know, I don't think he can do that this week. I think he's going to have to run the ball a little more to keep down that Dallas pass rush. And I think Tampa might be okay. Brady is 7-0 against Dallas. He's never lost to Dallas. And Dallas is 0-8 in their last 8 road playoff games. So that's 15 reasons right there why I'm looking at Tampa Bay. Worse, I believe, will be back. And fortunately, Donovan Smith, I mean, I don't wish any ill will on Donovan Smith. He missed last week. I don't think he'll be back next week. That guy holds at the most clutch times. So they've got a good backup tackle that can play. So Tampa's going to have a good game plan. Defense is going to have to show up. And like you said, he hit Mike Evans, 3 bombs. I don't think Evans played last week.
Nope.
But as far as we know, he'll be back this week. So I'm looking at Tampa.
Bruins fan is going for Cowboys, but I think I'm going to go with you, Brian, and go with Tampa. I feel like Tom Brady he's got this team together, or somebody's got the team together, and they've been able to come back and get into the playoffs, and they're not going to go out on the first round.
Will you still love me if I've led you astray here?
You didn't lead me astray on this one.
Here's another thing.
What I was thinking.
Here's another thing we can hold on to. There's Dallas' center, Viedas, looks like he's going to be out. And Dak Prescott, one of his problems is he stays in the pocket too much. And without his starting center, he might get the pocket pushed up the middle, which won't be good for him too. Dallas's team has only got 6 sacks though in the last 5 games against. So Tom Brady, he can stay in the pocket. He may be okay. They're gonna have to run the ball, so they just can't pin their ears back and rush. But yeah, I'm liking Tampa Bay. Now, before we go on this channel, this is a kind of a sports gaming entertainment channel. I play a lot of APBA baseball, also play fast drive football. And today I just kind of went down a rabbit hole and played all these playoff games in fast drive football, which is a drive-by-drive football game by Al Wilson. You can find it at fastdrivefootball.com. Last year, Al put out the ratings for the 2021 season before the playoffs. But this year he's waiting until after the playoffs, after the Super Bowl. So I took the liberty to rate the teams up through week 16. And it captures the essence of what they are. And I played these games, and very quickly, here's how they turned out. San Francisco beat Seattle 33-17. So this is our special guest today. Fast Drive Football is picking San Francisco. The Chargers beat the Jaguars 26-17. Miami didn't have a prayer in their game with Buffalo, 51-17 Buffalo. I actually think that might happen.
I do too, but I'm open.
And then in the Minnesota game, that was a tough one, just like the last one they played. It was Minnesota 27, New York 24. A little more scoring, but I think a 3-point difference is the same as when they played earlier. And then this game had Cincinnati 20, Ravens 13. I hope it doesn't turn out that way. But there it is. And the Dallas game, Dallas had an interception first drive, and then they had that was a pick 6. And the last drive, which they're trying to take the lead over Tampa, another interception into that game. Tampa won that one 27-24. So that's who Fast Drive Football is picking. Thanks for joining us. I got word that Rob is having technical difficulties. So, Rob, if you're watching this and not doing your show, I'll put our picks and email them over to you. If you'll do likewise, appreciate it. And if you got your show up, I'll join your show. Bruins fan and Ken Castro and Al Red Sox fan, Keen Twine Gaming, and everybody else who has joined us, thank you for watching. Have a good day and enjoy the playoffs. Goodbye.